You want to know the truth. A woman doesn't start to respect you when you give her everything. She starts to respect you when you take everything back. When you finally stop explaining, stop chasing, stop proving that you're enough. Because the moment she realizes your attention is no longer guaranteed, your silence becomes louder than every word you've ever spoken. That's when she starts to feel your absence, not just notice it. That's when her ego begins to crumble because the man she thought she could control no longer reacts to her power. This isn't about playing games, it's about reclaiming your value. You see, when a man detaches completely, he reintroduces a mystery she can't decode, and that mystery is what reignites her attraction. The same woman who once ignored your messages will start to wonder who you've become, what changed, and why her name no longer holds the same gravity in your life. That confusion will haunt her because for the first time, you are unpredictable again, so listen carefully. This video is not about how to get her back. It's about how to get yourself back, how to become the man who commands respect without raising his voice, the man whose silence carries strength, whose energy cannot be manipulated, and whose peace cannot be disturbed. Stay until the very end, because once you understand the psychology behind detachment, you'll never chase love the same way again. You'll realize that the real power was never in making her stay. It was always in showing her that you can walk away. Listen to me carefully, because this is where most men lose themselves completely. You think being available, being understanding, being endlessly forgiving is what makes a woman love and respect you more. But it doesn't, it does the opposite. The more you give without boundaries, the less she values what you give. The more you explain yourself, the less she listens. The more you show her she's your center, the more she takes you for granted. That's not because she's cruel. It's because human nature stops appreciating what is always available. When you detach, you're not turning your back on love. You're reclaiming your power within it. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you finally understand the difference between love and self-betrayal. You stop confusing obsession with connection. You stop mistaking constant communication for emotional security. You begin to see that the relationship you need to fix first is the one you have with yourself. A woman will never respect a man who has no control over his emotions. When she sees that you can be triggered easily, when your peace depends on her response, she starts losing trust in your strength. Because deep down, every woman is wired to test the foundation of a man's composure. She wants to know, is he stable enough to lead himself, or will he crumble when he doesn't get my attention? And if she sees you crumble, even just a little, she unconsciously pulls back. She starts creating distance. Not because she wants to hurt you, but because she's trying to confirm what she already feels. You've given her too much power. That's where detachment becomes everything. It's not an act of ego. It's an act of self-respect. When you stop reacting to her moods, when you stop seeking explanations for her silence, when you no longer beg for clarity, you become clarity. You become still, and that stillness speaks louder than any argument could because nothing commands respect more than emotional composure in the middle of chaos. There's a spiritual law here that most people overlook. What you chase runs away, and what you embody you attract. When you detach, you shift from chasing love to embodying strength, and that energy changes everything. You stop needing her to see your worth because you already know it. You stop trying to convince her that you're different because your silence proves you are. You stop running after closure because peace within yourself becomes the only closure you'll ever need. Think about it. The moment you stop fighting for her attention and start protecting your energy, something powerful happens. Your absence starts to speak. She begins to feel the weight of your silence, not the silence of anger, but the silence of elevation. It's the kind of silence that says, I've outgrown this version of myself that begged for love. And that silence is haunting because it holds power. It's the kind of energy that can't be ignored. When a woman feels that shift, she sees you differently. The man who once over-explained now simply walks away. The man who once feared losing her now values peace over proximity. And that's when she starts to respect you, not because you played a game, but because you finally started playing by the rules of self-worth. Respect is born from boundaries, not from begging. It's earned when you show restraint, not desperation. A woman can sense when a man has found himself again. It's in the way he talks less and moves more. It's in how he's not available at her convenience but still maintains his grace. It's in how he no longer reacts emotionally but responds consciously. That's the man she cannot manipulate. That's the man she begins to respect because he's no longer seeking her approval. He's radiating his own. You see, detachment is not punishment. It's purification. It cleans out the parts of you that were addicted to being needed. It destroys the illusion that love is about holding on tightly. In reality, the tighter you hold, the faster things break. The more you let go, the more you allow what's meant for you to return naturally. That's maturity. That's real power. So, when you detach, you're not giving up. You're growing up. You're teaching yourself that love should never cost you your dignity, that peace is more valuable than validation, and that being respected is worth more than being liked. And when you embody that truth, everything changes. Your energy becomes calm, grounded, self-assured. You stop trying to prove your worth and you start attracting people who recognize it. So the next time she tests you, the next time she pulls away, the next time she goes silent, don't chase, don't panic, don't explain, just stand still. Because silence from a man who has mastered detachment is louder than 1,000 messages from a man who hasn't. Remember this, a woman only respects what she fears losing, and she only fears losing the man who doesn't fear losing her. D has detached not to destroy the connection, but to rebuild your own strength within it. Because the moment you truly detach, you stop being an option and become the standard. When a man truly begins to understand the psychology of emotional gravity, everything about his relationships changes. Because attraction isn't built through proximity, it's built through absence. It's built through energy that cannot be accessed too easily. When you're constantly present, constantly available, constantly explaining yourself, you dissolve the mystery that once made her curious about you. The truth is people are drawn not to what they understand, but to what they feel compelled to figure out. And when you detach emotionally, you create that pull again, not by manipulation, but by returning to your natural masculine center. When a woman feels your emotional distance, it unsettles her at first. She notices the silence, she senses the shift, and immediately her mind starts to ask, what changed? That question is powerful because in that question, she begins to reevaluate everything she took for granted. She starts remembering the things you used to do, the way you used to react, the way you used to wait for her messages or defend yourself. Now you're just calm, detached, still, and that emotional stillness shakes her more than any argument ever could. You see, women don't fall in love with a man's presence alone. They fall in love with the tension between closeness and distance. It's the dance of energy that makes her feel alive. But when you collapse all boundaries and give her emotional access whenever she wants it, the dance ends. The attraction fades, and she starts to search for that tension elsewhere. Detachment restores that dynamic. It reintroduces the polarity that was lost when you surrendered your power to emotional dependency. This is why emotional distance doesn't destroy connection. It intensifies it. When you pull back, she doesn't feel abandoned. She feels your strength. It communicates that your emotions are not a playground for her mood swings, that you will not be emotionally available on demand, that you belong to your own mission first, and paradoxically, that's when she starts to chase. Not your body, not your attention, but yours energy. A woman respects the man who cannot be controlled emotionally because control in her subconscious mind equals safety. If she can control you, she knows exactly how far she can push you, and therefore she stops feeling the need to invest emotionally. But when she senses that your emotions are disciplined, that she cannot shake your peace even when she tries, she feels both safe and intrigued. Safe because she senses strength, intrigued because she no longer knows the outcome. That uncertainty fuels attraction. So understand this: when you pull back emotionally, it's not to punish her. It's to remind her that your value doesn't depend on her recognition of it. You are not rejecting her. You are returning to your own emotional authority. You are showing her that while you care, you are not controlled by care. That your love is intentional, not impulsive, and that your presence in her life is of choice, not a habit. When you reach that level of emotional mastery, your energy becomes magnetic because women are not attracted to chaos. They are attracted to control, not the kind of control that suppresses emotion, but the kind that channels it. The kind of man who can love deeply but never lose himself in the process. That's rare, and that rarity creates emotional gravity. Have you ever noticed that when you stop chasing someone, they suddenly become curious again? It's because your energy shifts from "I need you" to "I'm complete without you." That shift is not just emotional, it's energetic. It's something she can feel because deep down, attraction isn't about words. It's about vibration. When your energy becomes calm and grounded, you communicate confidence without saying a word. And when your silence carries confidence, it becomes louder than your affection ever could. She will begin to test you. Of course, she'll try to draw a reaction from you just to see if she still has that emotional hold. But if you've truly detached, not out of ego, but out of emotional maturity, you won't flinch, you'll listen, but you won't chase. You'll care, but you won't cling. You'll love, but you won't lose yourself. That's what makes her respect you again, because she can feel that she no longer has control over your emotional state. And in that realization, she begins to value it again. Emotional gravity is built when your silence holds meaning. When your distance carries peace, and when your energy speaks louder than your words, that's the moment she stops seeing you as someone who needs her and starts seeing you as someone she wants to earn back. That's the moment the power dynamic resets. So don't be afraid to pull back. Don't be afraid to let silence do what words never could. Don't be afraid to let your absence remind her of your worth. Because when you master the art of emotional distance, you stop chasing love and start attracting respect. Every man must learn this truth. Emotional control is not about suppressing feelings. It's about mastering your reactions. It's about knowing that the loudest message you'll ever send is sent in silence, because at the end of the day, she won't remember the man who begged for her love. She'll remember the man who became silent, calm, and unshakable, the man who walked away with his dignity intact, the man who didn't need to be chosen because he had already chosen himself.